Don't compare yourself to anyone. Once upon a time, in a small village nestled between tall mountains and rolling hills, there was a young man named Arjun. Arjun was an ambitious, hard-working soul who was eager to make a name for himself. However, there was one thing that always seemed to hold him back. No matter what he did, he would constantly compare himself to others. He would look at his peers and wonder why they seemed to achieve things faster, why they looked more confident, or why their success seemed more effortless. Arjun had many friends, and each of them excelled in their own way. One was a brilliant artist, another a gifted musician, and there was also a friend who was a natural-born entrepreneur. Arjun admired them all and often found himself feeling inferior in comparison. He would sit for hours staring at the sky, asking himself why he wasn't as successful as his friends, why his efforts didn't seem to bring the same results. One evening, as Arjun was walking through the village, feeling particularly discouraged, he bumped into an elderly woman who had a reputation for being wise. She was known as Grandma Rani, and many villagers would go to her for advice. Seeing Arjun's downcast expression, she gently smiled and asked, "Why do you look so troubled, my dear?" Arjun sighed deeply and replied, "Grandma, I try so hard, but I feel like I'm always falling short. My friends are doing amazing things, but no matter how much I try, I can't seem to match their success. It's like I'm always playing catch-up." Grandma Rani nodded thoughtfully and said, "Ah, my dear, you're comparing yourself to them, aren't you? The problem is not that you aren't good enough. The problem is that you're measuring your life against someone else's." Arjun looked puzzled. "But how else should I measure myself?" he asked. "It feels like everyone else is doing better than me. I can't help but compare." The old woman smiled kindly and took a deep breath. "Let me tell you a story, my dear. When I was young, I had a beautiful garden. There were flowers of every color imaginable. Roses, lilies, daisies. They were all so vibrant, and every year people would come to admire them. But one day I noticed something strange. In the far corner of the garden, there was a plant that just wouldn't bloom. It was small, with dull leaves, and no matter what I did, it wouldn't grow like the others." Arjun listened intently, curious to know where this was going. Grandma Rani continued, "I spent so much time worrying about that plant, thinking it was a failure. I tried giving it more water, more sunlight, and even special nutrients. Yet it just didn't bloom like the others. After many years of frustration, one day, I decided to dig it up and move it to a new spot, away from the rest of the flowers. When I did that, something incredible happened. It started to grow in its own time and in its own way. It wasn't like the other flowers, but it was beautiful in its own right. It didn't need to compare itself to anyone else." Arjun was silent, absorbing her words. Grandma Rani continued, "Just like that plant, my dear, you are unique. You cannot measure your success by someone else's timeline. You are growing in your own way, at your own pace. The more you compare yourself to others, the more you will feel inadequate. The truth is, we all have our own journey to walk, and each person's path is different." Arjun thought about what the wise woman had said. He realized that he had been caught in the trap of comparison for far too long. He had been looking at others' successes and feeling like he was failing because his path didn't look the same. But now he understood that just like the plant, he needed to focus on his own growth, in his own time. The next morning, Arjun woke up with a new sense of clarity. He decided that instead of looking at others and measuring his worth by their achievements, he would focus on his own journey. He would set his own goals, work at his own pace, and celebrate his own progress, no matter how small. As the years passed, Arjun grew into a man of wisdom and success. He built a thriving business, created beautiful art, and became a mentor to many others. But more importantly, he learned to stop comparing himself to others. He understood that success isn't about keeping up with the crowd. It's about finding your own path and walking it with confidence. One day, when Arjun had become a well-respected leader in his village, he met with some young people who were feeling discouraged. They were worried because their progress didn't seem to match that of others. Arjun smiled and said, "I once felt the same way, but I learned something that changed everything. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. Your life is yours, and it will unfold in its own beautiful way." Moral of the story: the story of Arjun teaches us a valuable lesson. Comparison is the thief of joy. We often measure our worth and success by looking at others. But the truth is, everyone's journey is unique. Focus on your own path, take pride in your progress, and trust that your success will come in its own time. Don't let the lives of others dictate how you feel about your own. You are enough, and your journey is just as important as anyone else's. Hope you like the story. It's a story of self-realization, perseverance, and the importance of focusing on our own journey.